Joining us in the studios today, Ashutosh Limai, Head of Research and Real Estate Intelligence Services at JLL India, and Jayashree Kurup, the Head of Content and Research at magicbricks.com. Jayashree and Ashutosh, thank you so much for spending time with us this week. Now, you know that the Prime Minister's vision really for 100 smart cities was being talked about for so long. We talked about it on the show as well. There was also a mention of a pact that was signed in Japan which involved Varanasi. But we now have an official announcement. The Union Urban Development Minister M. Venkaiah Naidu has announced this week that Vijaywada and Visakhapatnam in Andhra Pradesh would be the first two smart cities in the country. In another very big announcement, Vijaywada is now being announced as the new capital of Andhra Pradesh. We're going to talk about what this means for these two cities and the smaller cities in that entire Krishna Godavari basin. But first I want to bring in my colleague Avan, who will give us an update on what the prices are like in both Vijaywada and Vizag. Avan.
Thanks, Faye. After the announcement of Vijaywada and Visakhapatnam being the next smart cities of Andhra, the local real estate market has been whipped into a frenzy. But if you're out shopping, I must warn you, the verbal quotes being made on ground might be sharply higher than what's on paper. The real buzz is taking place in the outskirts of both cities, Gannavaram, Vijayawada's airport and IT park, and is likely to see a 5-star hotel soon. The prices of homes here have shot up 18% over the last 2 years. But the real market is the gated community plots for sale. Land is being priced at anywhere between 10,000 to 20,000 rupees a square yard. The prices of land even further in Karansi Nagar are quoting at 35,000 rupees per square yard. In Kannuru, off National Highway 9, developers are planning on building gated communities and high-rise buildings. The price of land in this area has soared, with sellers quoting 12 crore rupees for 5 acres of land. That's a little over 5,000 rupees a square yard. And we have a similar story in Visakhapatnam, Madhurwada on the National Highway 5, which is home to a new cricket stadium and has seen the biggest increase in prices, with a 17% jump in the last 2 years. The prices of homes on the popular Beach Road have shown an increase of 9% and are trading around the 5,000 rupees mark. And Kurumanapelam, around the city's airport, has seen a price rise up to 7%, and prices here range from 1,800 to 2,150 rupees per square foot. With that, it's back to you, Faye.
All right, Avan, thank you for that update. Ashutosh, it's very interesting. If we look at the numbers on paper right now, they're not showing us a very sharp change. But we hear from the ground, we hear from sources. There are a lot of deals that are happening that are not yet being registered, but the numbers that people are talking about are 3 times, 4 times the numbers that Avan just told us. Tell us what's happening on the ground exactly.
I think that's precisely what is happening. You have lots of negotiations happening. There is a good deal of interest from buyers to invest. But the expectations from landlords really has gone up, and that means that you will require a longer time to close that gap that exists today and which is widening after every passing day between the landlord's expectation and the willingness of buyer to pay, because every buyer is going to think from a perspective that what he or she will do with that land. Is it purely for investment, or they want to develop something on it and sell? And the kind of prices today landlords are asking for clearly don't work from any buyer's perspective. The houses that currently or very recently were available in the fringe of Vijaywada for around 2,500, 3,000 rupees a square foot, if somebody buys land today at the current rates, probably that prices will be 5,000, 5,500 rupees a square foot. So we are looking at that kind of increase. And when we are looking at that kind of budget segment, which is so highly price sensitive, we are not very sure whether we will have enough buyers at that price points. So I think a lot of deals are not concluding because the gap that exists seems to get wider and wider. I think unless the government announces the building bylaws and development rules in details, how much of FSI, etc., they will not come down.
Well, we know that with Chandrababu Naidu now in the Chief Minister's seat, and everybody in that part of the country, in Andhra Pradesh, in Hyderabad, remembers that he's a man with a vision, remembers what he did to what modern Hyderabad is today. Are you seeing national developers or larger companies now showing interest in these places since these announcements have been made? Or do you still think that all of this is a little bit, too premature at this point?
No, I think I would say yes and no both, and I'll explain you how. Yes, because people know that what Chandrababu Naidu can deliver. He has shown that in Hyderabad. So people are confident that he can create that kind of infrastructure. He can actually translate the Prime Minister's vision of smart cities into reality with the state support. But at the same time, at today's prices, it doesn't work out for any developer to buy land. So from that perspective, it's a no. But if you look at the infrastructure that Chandrababu Naidu created for Hyderabad, and I would praise him for that, because what it ensured was no undue corridor or no corridor with superiority or undue advantage. Right. If you create infrastructure for the entire city, and in this case, I would urge that let's not look at Vijaywada as a city, but Vijaywada, Guntur, Tenali surrounding as a region, sub-region. If you develop infrastructure well and if you implement the smart city concept well, no one corridor or locality can enjoy or should enjoy that kind of premium, and then we can have a much widely dispersed development.
Jayashree, come in here. Now, when we talk about a smart city, we talk about this neighborhood in particular. Have you noticed over the last few weeks more sellers and buyers when it comes to this area? Since we're talking about an entire area, that entire Krishna Godavari, that around the river, the Guntur, the Rajmundri, the Tenali, all of those areas, has there been more activity from where you are looking at it?
Faye, we see a lot of supply and demand. There are a lot of searches in all these areas. Did a search on the site and I found, across the site, Rajamundry, Kakinad, Vijaywada, Guntur, Visakhapatnam, we are seeing an enhanced amount of user interest. But I don't think we have seen it concluding into sales or people are kind of looking to see what's available. There's a lot of excitement, but I don't think this is the kind of excitement that is translating into rapid sales. But in the last, if I look at about a couple of years, about 9 to 17% rise in capital values of apartments. But that is not the kind of transactions that Ashutosh was talking about. You're talking about huge land deals. You're talking about futuristic areas where people want to invest, developers want to invest and develop for the future. Today, what I'm recording on the site is that even the cities themselves, there is a lot of excitement. But this is, typically the city demand and not the investor demand. Investors are searching. I don't think they've started buying yet.
Well, Ashutosh, interestingly, a smart city would be required to provide around-the-clock drinking water, electricity, infrastructure. And if we look at this region, it is possibly the easiest place to provide these things because there is no water problem, there's no electricity problem, there are ports nearby, there are airports in both of the cities that we just talked about. So if you were to look at all of the other options the government has before it, there is of course Varanasi, which we've talked about. Are Vijaywada, Vizag and that region best poised to become smart cities from that definition?
I think so. I think it's a good choice. Not only it gives you easier environment to work with to create those smart cities, it has got an agenda by creation of the new state also. And we have seen that we require the seat of administration, we require the seat of judiciary, you need a new trade and commerce district, you require so many new jobs to be housed in offices, etc. Correspondingly, real estate is to develop. And given the topography, given the natural resources, etc., I think these two cities are a very good choice. Perhaps the only aspect that we might have to be conscious about is fertile land. Otherwise, everything else actually favors a fast, swift, efficient development of smart cities here.
And you believe that the project of making the capital will take about 10 years?
Yes, I think so. I think a project of that scale to create and build a completely new capital on a virgin land, 10 years is something that you should definitely look at.
You should be able to give it 10 years. Jayashree, okay, so tell me this. Now, a lot of our viewers are Andhraites or Teluguites who watch from across the country. Several of them are NRIs as well. They're constantly looking for investment opportunities within Andhra and now Telangana. What would you recommend they do? Should they be looking at this region, picking up something, Vijaywada, Vizag, Guntur, Tenali, one of these places, or would you say, go stick with Hyderabad, give it 5 years, that's a better investment?
See, now that the announcement has been made that Vijaywada is going to be the capital and they've more or less identified the localities, I would say as a small investor, do buy in those localities where there is, these are both well-developed cities. There is good amount of development and there's a good amount of supply in the market. Buying land in the outskirts today, I would still say is very risky for a small investor.
Ashutosh, would you recommend, if I was looking at a Vijaywada and if I'm a shrewd, smart investor at this point, that I look at buying commercial space that I can rent out to a new office from the government perhaps?
I think that's a good idea because by the time the government builds its own offices, I think the office space is going to be short supplied because the seat of administration will move in and you require so many departments to be housed. Plus with the seat of government coming into a particular city, the other businesses, trade, commerce, industry, liaising offices, bank branches, insurance companies, all have to have their regional or mandala, as they call them in Andhra, offices, zonal offices there. And we will not be able to create that kind of office space in next 2 to 3 years. So somebody who can invest in an office space decently sized at a location where you have public transport available will get good rental benefits. And adding to what Jayashree said, I think today if you see the kind of supply that we are seeing in Vijaywada and around is fairly regionally styled. What I mean is we don't have national branded developers active in the city, and they will take some time to deliver their product. So till that time, I think if investors invest in residential or offices, and if they choose to exit right, and that is the time when they can exit from one property and invest into a quality product done by a good branded developer, right. I think that's the best business model.
All right, so that's the strategy that you're getting on the show right now. Look, if you're in Vijaywada, Guntur or Vizag, look at buying office space that you can rent out to the new government or any of the new offices that move in, and then you can sell at a profit and look at buying property. What I want from both of our guests right now is one location of a neighborhood or an area that you think is going to do really well in any of these cities. Jayashree, do you want to go first? What would you recommend that our viewers focus on?
Currently, Faye, I would say if you're looking at Visakhapatnam, go with an area like Madhurwada, which is in the IT belt. There is steady demand. There is some amount of supply and there is steady demand. So if you're going to invest and hold it for a while, this is an area where the economic driver already exists, and it is a good locality in the city, established locality in the city. Normally what happens is even if new hubs evolve, the traditional downtown areas never go out of fashion. So I would say I would back places like Madhurwada.
Madhurwada in Vizag. What about you, Ashutosh?
Yeah, I'll second Jayashree's opinion about Madhurwada. I do have confidence in that locality. And then when it comes to Vijaywada, I will rather stick to the city core because Vijaywada has been traditionally a very vibrant place for trade and commerce. And that role, I don't foresee Vijaywada to give away. What I anticipate in the city core is a transformation or a regeneration into a fully commercial district or a mixed-use district, wherein you can get a lot better price tomorrow. So if you stick to the city core, I think you have a very safe option as well as a very lucrative option.
All right, the advice we're getting on the show right now is to stay in the core of all of the cities that we just talked about, but there is money to be made, there is a profit to be had, whether that's in commercial office space or in residential property. And of course, on this show, we're going to be tracking the progress that these two cities and that entire region make on a regular basis. If you have questions about Vizag or Vijaywada, write to us. Our email ID is at the bottom of your screen. Let's take some of the questions that came in during the week. This one's about Thane. Kavi More has written in, he wants to buy a 1 or a 2 BHK in Thane West with a budget of 40 to 50 lakh rupees. He wants to move in by December this year, and he wants to know what square foot area can he expect in his budget and what good projects and developers can he expect. Thane West, 40 to 50 lakh rupees seems a little tough, doesn't it?
Yes, it's tough, but the good thing about this is he has already decided that he wants to take a ready-to-move-in property. So that much clarity he has. What it means is such properties come to you with a premium because the construction risk is over and the project is in front of you, probably with occupation certificate secured. So I suppose in his budget, I think he should look at the extended Ghodbunder Road. In his budget, I don't think he will get good properties within the city. So it's Ghodbunder Road, which is perhaps 6 kilometers away from the railway station and beyond, where he can look at properties. And there are good projects there which will be delivered in the next 3 to 6 months. So you have Puranik, you have Havre, you have others to give you decent options. And I think If he sticks to under 6,500 rupees a square foot, he can get a 2 BHK. If he is willing to compromise on the area of his flat, perhaps he can choose a better specification flat at a better location for about 7,000, 7,200 rupees a square foot. So he has to play that permutation combination.
Welcome back. You're watching the Property Guide on ET. Now, both of our guests are still with us, and we're going to answer more of the questions you sent in during the week. Now, Naren has written in. He wants to buy property in Chennai with a budget of 40 lakh rupees. He wants to know what area he should consider and a few projects that he should look at. Now, here's the thing, Naren, you haven't told us if you're looking for a home that you'd like to live in or you're looking at it purely as an investment. But since it's such an open-ended question, let's go by the budget he's given us. That's of 40 lakh rupees. What can he buy in Chennai for 40 lakh?
I think Chennai is one city that can give him a lot of options within that budget. Within 40 lakhs, you have the Southern Corridor, which is the OMR belt. He has the GST road. He has the NH4, which are the Western corridors. And there are several locations where he can find properties suiting his budget. The key question here is whether he wants it as a first home or as an investment. If it's a first home, he has to really understand that it has to be a very comfortable and convenient work commute that he has to ensure. Plus, he will need a place that has got developed social infrastructure so that for the family who stays behind during the day is made comfortable. All the basic necessities are around, and there is enough public transportation or connectivity with the city parts which is already established. So, depending on where he works or intends to work, he or other members of his family, that will actually decide where he should be looking at. But given the budget, the Southern Corridor, the Western Corridor, and the corridor that joins the two, for example, Oragadam, and there are several locations. You have Parur, and then we have Sholiningalur, we have other locations like Egattur, Pallavaram, multiple locations. Chennai still offers you a lot of options under 40 lakh rupees, 2 BHK, new building, a lot of options to choose from. But the key question is whether it's for self-use or for investment.
Jayashree, 40 lakh rupees. Ashutosh has given us plenty of options. Would you give him some advice? Because obviously he's just beginning his search right now in Chennai. All he knows is his budget. Would you give him some advice about buying a home in Chennai?
Up to 20 lakh, you can get Tiruvallur, Sri Perumbudur, Oragadam, Guduvancheri. If you look at a 20 to 40 lakh budget, you have Urupakkam, Medavakkam. These are all areas where you have properties available. And obviously, it's a city where you can get lots of options. But I would say that once you've isolated what you can get in your budget, now, like Ashutosh said, look at what your convenience is. Obviously, if you're a first buyer, you're looking at a place where you would like to stay. Where do you work? How far is it? In Chennai, I find that it's not the distance that matters so much as the connectivity. If it is an easy access to wherever you're working, that is the place that you should consider. Then look for the developer. The quality of the developer is very important. There are developers who have been delivering consistently and delivering good quality projects. So that is another stage that you should consider when you're narrowing down your search. Another thing is go for the approvals. Chennai at one point of time had a lot of projects waiting for approvals. Today I think a lot of projects have taken off because there has been a spate of approvals that had come some time ago. So today these projects are coming into possession stage. Do you want a house where you would like to stay? Then look at projects that are closer to possession. If you want a project where you can consistently invest over a period of time and then get your projects, so figure out when the delivery is, when the possession is. I think it's a cleaner market. The developers normally keep to timelines unless there is an approvals issue. So I would say that, it's a good place to start. What is my budget? Where can I look for it? What is convenient to me? Who are the developers? And what are the transport links that I should look for? And the conveniences such as water, power, backups and things like that.
All right, so I hope that was enough advice. Let's move on to the next one. Anshul has written in, he wants to buy a 2-bedroom under construction flat in any of the following locations in Pune. He's looking at Pashan. He's looking at the Pashan-Baner Link Road, Baner or Aund. He has a budget of 50 to 65 lakh rupees. Please give me a few project recommendations. Jayashree, he might not find too much in those locations at that budget. Pune has run up a fair amount, hasn't it?
It has. He would be able to get a smaller unit in these areas, but I think he still, I find projects within his budget on the website, listed on the website. These may not be new projects, these may be slightly older projects. They are smaller, slightly shrunk sizes, but you will be able to get projects within this budget, and I think you should be looking at starting your search here. He can get a 2 BHK unit very comfortably. And there are some areas, if you don't find the right projects in the localities that you've looked for, try places like Wakad and Rawat. I find you'll get bigger units. It's not too far away from these places, so you should be able to get some options.
Poonam has written in she wants to buy a 2 or a 3-bedroom apartment in Gurgaon with a budget of 1 to 1.25 crore rupees. She wants to know what areas would give her good appreciation and if Dwarka Expressway is a good option.
I will go for Dwarka Expressway. In Gurgaon, I think there is a problem of plenty. I think we see too many corridors getting developed simultaneously, so many projects available to us. Often it's confusing. And if you look at the current outstanding inventory for Gurgaon, it's close to 40 months. That means we have a lot of projects getting constructed and we have fewer sales that are happening. So there is every possibility to get a good deal. But what it means on the other side is, in the short term, the prices are not going to climb so rapidly. We will need a decent time frame to really start on that positive curve of price rise again. And that is why it's important to identify a location that has got very good infrastructure, which will give you a long-term benefit. And Dwarka Expressway is certainly one of those. Sectors along Dwarka Expressway, 83, 84, 88, 102 to 113, all in a row. I think they are good locations because in mid to long term, they will deliver. And fortunately, we have projects by good developers in that corridor. We have projects by Vipul, Vatika, Godrej, Indiabulls, and many more. So a good choice, a good time to buy because we have a good inventory that the developers need to offload. And Dwarka Expressway will deliver in the mid to long term because of its great infrastructure situation. So I think let's not look at too many areas simultaneously because that will perhaps add to the confusion. Dwarka Expressway is a good area. Go ahead and buy.
Well, Mandeep has written in, he bought a 3-bedroom villa of 2,385 square feet at Omax City in Sonipat in 2008 for 36 lakh rupees. That seems like a good price. He wants to know what the future prospects of this property are. Jayashree?
Sonipat was a market that had slowed down. At one point of time, there was a lot of excitement. It slowed down considerably when people figured that the metro link was not coming in a hurry. But now there is a big education city that is happening, and a lot of large education institutions have picked up properties here, land banks here, and therefore there is a lot of interest in the Sonipat Kundli area. Now, once this is going to be a slightly long-term investment, and if he wants to, the project that he's picked up, if he wants to hold on, I would suggest hold it for another couple of years because you'll get much better values than if you exit today. But if you are going to, if you do want to exit, there are buyers in the market today, and I feel that this market will come into its own in the next 2 to 3 years when the education projects take off.
All right, so there you have it. And remember, if you have any questions about property, you can write to us. Our email ID is at the bottom of your screen. It'll be our pleasure to hear from you. Ashutosh and Jayashree, thank you so much for spending time with us this week. Unfortunately, we're completely out of time. From me and the team that puts this show together, thank you for watching.